And by that time, during the good years, at the end there, when we had won the championship, the committee decided, I wasn't here at the time, I was actually abroad working, they decided to go ahead and build the stand and the games hall and stuff like that. Then we got relegated and then we hit financial trouble. Simple as that, because it didn't have any income now, because nobody came to watch second league games and things like that. So that became a real problem. And by that time I was back in the club again, and I went back on the committee at that time, just as a committee member, and Jack McAndrew had all the hassle as president to find how we paid the bills every month. So we took a decision to become a limited company, to limit the liability on members, because if it failed, the members would have to have been responsible for the debt. And we became a limited company. Again, we had to rewrite the articles and apply to Company House to become, we had two limited companies. One was Stirling County Rugby Club Limited, and the second was a shares company called Bridge Hall, which actually owned all the property, you know, all the clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. So that was quite successful. We sold the shares. In fact, I think we sold about coming off for £80,000 worth of shares, which was great for us to get the capital for that. We sold seats in the stand at 500 quid each. People were silly enough to buy them because we still have them. We still have our shares. You could, if you bought 1,000 shares, you became a patron, and we had nearly 30 patrons, so that was £30,000 as well. So we raised some capital that way as well. And a lot of members took out 100 shares and stuff like that, you know, just to be in the club. So we eventually came through that. We eventually got on board as directors, a couple of retired Michael Scotland directors, John Clark and Peter Benny, and they helped us through this really difficult period. And we came through the other end quite well eventually. So, and that's, we'll just progress from there to where we are now, really.
Okay, I'll stop you there. Hold on, it stopped. Was there anyone particular that you think made a big influence in the club?
Yes, way back when we were in Division 7, for instance, Kenny Crichton joined the club, and, well, before we were in Division 7, in fact, and Kenny, eventually, he and I rewrote the constitution, and it was split the club in two, and that was the time I was a vice president, and Kenny became a vice president as well. He took over the playing side, and I did the administration and the other side of the club. Now, we got to a stage where, again, we were becoming the limited company and one or two other things, and Kenny decided that he didn't want to be, when I became president, he didn't want to stay on as a vice president, he wanted to be a coach. So he was the coach of the team that started the promotion from Division 7. And he was a big influence in the club because he had time to join the SRU, and he was, if he had lived, he would have ended up as president of the SRU. Unfortunately, he didn't live that long. He was a vice president when he died. So yes, Kenny, I think, was very influential in lots of things in the club. Yes.
Okay, that's brilliant. Yeah, right, thanks very much for letting us hear that. I think it's really interesting for everybody in the club to know a bit about the history of where we've been and how things have kind of developed the way they have, because we all know the recent history, but it's interesting to hear the people that have worked in the background to make things so good in Stirling, make it such a successful club. Thanks very much, Ian.